Welcome, I'm Nina Griffin, and this is the Astrology and Magic channel. Today we'll talk about the meaning of Pluto's entry into Aquarius, which happens later this year. First off, I wanted to say thank you to all of my patrons. If you would like to get astrological and magical content early and exclusively, you can become a patron. Go to patreon.com/Nina Griffin, and at the highest tier you will also have access to my monthly magical elections document, which tells you how and when to make planetary and other astrological talismans. So Pluto is about to change signs, March 23rd, 2023. Why do we even care? Well, Pluto has major significations for collective psychology, major shifts in the mood, and just the vibe of large groups of people, nations, organizations, what have you. It's the slowest of the outer planets, and its most obvious impact is on the collective. In antiquity, the god Pluto, or Pluton, as was his Greek name, was known as the chthonic Zeus, the king of the underworld, the ruler of the silent kingdom of the shades. He is the mysterious force that makes plants wither and die in the fall, and then releases the life force in the form of new growth in the spring. Since all wealth ultimately originates underground in the form of precious metals, gems, and vegetation, he is also known as the guardian of vast stores of riches, which he releases as he pleases. Pluto is sometimes also associated with the underworld, the criminal underworld of the mafia, mob, the organized crime as well, since it is thought of something that happens that affects large amounts of money, but also happens out of sight underground. Pluto then, when he transits a sign, will add intensity, destruction, rebirth, and opportunity for great wealth to the areas that are ruled by the sign that he's transiting. So let's look at Pluto in Aquarius specifically. Astrology is governed by the rule of rarity and power. The rarer an event is, the more power it holds. So a slow planet changing signs will carry a lot more power than a fast planet changing signs. Pluto has been in Capricorn since 2008, depending on how you count, but Pluto will leave Capricorn March 23rd and will be at 0 Aquarius until June 11th, 2023. Then Pluto will retrograde back into Capricorn for the rest of 2023 until he enters Aquarius for good in January 2024. However, even the few months in Aquarius will inaugurate changes that will continue to take root and grow, even though Pluto will spend a little more time in Capricorn. Pluto will stay in Aquarius for 20 years, starting in 2024. Note also that the time that Pluto spends in each sign varies because of Pluto's eccentric orbit. So Pluto was in Capricorn for only about 15 years, but Aquarius will get Pluto for 20 years. So why is Aquarius important? In entering the sign of Aquarius, Pluto will be activating the 0-degree Jupiter-Saturn Great Conjunction of 2020 when these two superior planets conjoined. Since Jupiter was in Aquarius in 2021, and Saturn is still in Aquarius until early March 23, these two superior planets passing through Aquarius planted the seeds over the last 2 years that Pluto will now take to a new phase of growth and change. Pluto's ingress, you might say, really kicks off 2 centuries of air sign great conjunctions. I will just remind people who don't know, Jupiter and Saturn conjoin every 20 years, but of course the sign in which they do it varies. They will usually conjoin in the sign of the same element for 240 years, and then they will switch to conjoining in signs of another element. So in 2020, we had a major shift that really wasn't seen since the late 1700s, when great conjunctions moved from fire signs to earth signs. In 2020, great conjunctions definitively moved from earth signs to air signs, of which Aquarius is one. So you might say that with Pluto entering there, we're really living in a historic moment. Now, let's talk more about Aquarius and the kinds of areas of life that are going to be impacted by Pluto's transit. Aquarius is historically associated with any structure, object, or program intended for the public good. It was historically linked to the king providing watercourses for fresh water for his subjects to use as the original public works program. Today, it's really extended to any type of program, not only tangible infrastructure, anything that really is intended to benefit large numbers of people. With Pluto transiting Aquarius, we could see major changes to public benefits programs, bold new experiments in what constitutes the public good and what constitutes a society. We could also see the transformation and upgrades of existing infrastructure, perhaps based on renewable energy. This also leads into another major area associated with air signs, especially Aquarius, that is, technology and inventions. During Pluto's transit through Aquarius, we will see major scientific progress, new ways to communicate and travel. Because it's Pluto, it could be that these inventions will be the result of war or defense research, or in some other way reflect that dark side that Pluto often possesses. Air signs like Aquarius also rule the weather and air quality, so Pluto will definitely transform our weather, perhaps as a result of climate change. Those transformations could mean more cold in some places and more heat in others. It's interesting that Aquarius in particular is said to be the coldest sign when it comes to weather forecasting, so we could see some locations get extreme cold as a new and more common weather pattern. Air signs also relate to respiratory disease because, of course, it has to do with the breath. So unfortunately, this placement of Pluto is very conducive to respiratory disease epidemics or pandemics. However, we will also have access to new medical technologies thanks to the inventiveness and scientific tendencies of air signs. This again comes back to the idea of new inventions emerging out of difficult circumstances, a Pluto in Aquarius theme. Because air signs rule things that are unique to humans, we will see new forms of social and political organizations and government, as well as social experiments, and new ways that people exchange ideas and organize themselves. As a Saturn-ruled sign, Aquarius also rules the Earth and mining precious metals. We could expect the race for mining rare earth metals to dramatically accelerate while Pluto is in Aquarius, and the emergence of new uses for previously less valuable metals. The mining world is about to get a lot more wild. Because of the connection of Saturn and land, Aquarius is also related to land use, especially when it's for groups of people and organizations such as commercial real estate. This area of the economy is likely to be completely transformed, and we're already seeing the signs after the pandemic of people using commercial space much less and also in different patterns than before the pandemic. Anything to do with air travel and space travel will be transformed, and it's quite possible that new frontiers in these areas will emerge. Finally, as Aquarius also rules flowing water, springs, wells, etc., the way that we get our water, as well as major power battles over water, we're definitely going to see that with Pluto. Remember, he is a very powerful god. He is definitely setting up some major changes and battles over water in the next 20 years. Let's talk a little bit about specific nations of the world and Pluto transiting Aquarius. Traditional astrology associates certain countries or regions with certain signs. There isn't always full agreement on this. However, there are some signs that have proven to be quite accurate in showing changes when Pluto transits these signs. So Russia and Central Asia was traditionally associated with Aquarius, although according to some sources, the western part and what is now Ukraine were ruled by Taurus. In any case, Pluto entering Russia's sign for 20 years promises a deep and lengthy transformation, death and potential for rebirth, and a confrontation with the forces of the underworld. It may be that Russia and countries in Central Asia will find a source of vast riches in the ground in their countries as well. Also, modern China has a relatively recent inception chart from 1949, when the Chinese Communist Party established a central government. This chart has 5 degrees Aquarius rising, and the moon at 3 degrees Aquarius on the ascendant. However, more accurate data seems to show that actually this chart seems to have 1 degree Aquarius rising and the moon at 3 Aquarius. We'll get to see which one is the correct one with Pluto's slow transit through these degrees. It's hard to imagine with this chart how Pluto's ingress into Aquarius won't immediately impact China. The chart certainly suggests a profound national transformation starting very soon, along the lines of what we saw for Russia. Now, other countries and regions that were historically assigned to Aquarius that will also experience the major effects of Pluto's transit are Denmark, southern Sweden, northern Iran, the Arab countries, Croatia, and southern Romania. To summarize, Pluto in Aquarius ushers in a new era for the world. This happens every time Pluto changes signs. We've already experienced the influence of Jupiter and Saturn passing through Aquarius during the last few years, but we can expect that influence to become turbocharged and much more noticeable for the next 2 decades. To put all of this in context, if you haven't yet seen my whole year 2023 forecast video to get the larger picture, check it out. And of course, subscribe to the Nina Griffin channel on YouTube so you get notified about latest videos being released. Thanks for watching.